Welcome to Fat Man. I'm Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
We are at the American Comedy Company here in San Diego. Put your hands together so the folks at home know you exist. And we are all here in town for Comic-Con International, Comic-Con 2018. This year's Comic-Con, the sub-theme of which is Comic-Con 2018, fuck Batman. Because I don't know if anyone saw that very hostile Titans trailer, but apparently Robin's got big issues with Batman. That's where we are at this point. I put up a tweet where I was like, when I was a kid, Robin used to say shit like, holy eggshells, Batman. Now Robin says shit like, fuck Batman.
Fuck you and your Batmobile ass face.
I was feeling very, very good all day long here at Con, man. Let me see. First time I went to Comic-Con was 1995. We came with Mallrats and showed it at Horton Plaza. So I've been coming for like 23 years off and on, and most of those very much on. Thank you. However, thanks to recent health events, I don't know if you know this, Marc, but I did have a heart attack fairly recently.
Please do tell.
No. It's a story for another time.
Every other time.
But after that, I became vegan and shit. Used to be happy, now I'm fucking vegan. And so in that time, I've dropped some weight since the heart attack. So this is, and I don't want to say this to brag, but it is noteworthy, and I want to put it on the record because next year it'll probably be way different and shit. This is the absolute thinnest I've ever been at a Comic-Con in my life, man. I weigh less at this Comic-Con than I did my first Comic-Con in 1995, man. I'm fitting into my 95 Comic-Con jorts, so...
Are they like acid wash, super fucking pale?
Totally, and I never thought I'd wear them again. They were in a frame hanging over my bed, so I got to break the frame and pull them back on and shit. Yeah, that's been nice. I've been up working for the IMDb folks again. This year is my third year atop the IMDboat, where we interview folks, the movers and shakers of Comic-Con. And I met many people, famous people today, some of whom were like, you're like a legend around here. And I was like, fucking thanks, man. I was feeling real good about myself. So much so that during lunch, I was double timing it today. I was interviewing people for IMDb. And then at my lunchtime, I went and did interviews for myself for the Hollywood TV show that we got going right now at rivettv.com. So I went out to do press for that. And I went over to Variety. They have a boat. They copied the IMDb, and they started doing a boat as well.
Got a fucking boat.
Everybody wants a boat now. So I went over there, sat down, did an interview with them. Felt very good about myself. Felt like, you know what, man? In this industry of show, this business of show, I've been doing it nearly 25 years at this point. I'm like, people like me. People respect me, man. People know who I am. And then I read this. Variety, the very people I sat down to interview with.
Kevin James was lovely aboard the Variety boat.
Yes, bitch, exactly that.
Really?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes, thanks for killing my joke, but fucking yes. That's exactly what it was. Let me find the fucking tweet. I wasn't fast enough. Variety writes, Kevin James is thrilled about the 2 upcoming Joker movies. And there's a picture of me, man. And I was just on their fucking boat talking to him. And it's me in the interview clip and shit, and I was, it was crazy. I saw that, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm a nobody. I'm not a nobody, I'm Kevin fucking James, is what I am. I just wish I had some of that Kevin James fucking money, man.
It's almost willful ignorance because you're wearing a fucking hockey jersey with your name on the back.
Yes.
We don't want to know.
No doubt. I'm gonna get a crest for my new jersey that's just Kevin James's face. So that people are really fucking broken when they see it. They're like,
Jameception. James on James on James.
Jameception. Kevinception.
Better.
It's a second draft.
Nice job.
How has your con been so far? Has anyone mistaken you for somebody?
I get occasionally Reginald VelJohnson. I keep.
They're like, yo, family matters. You're like,
fuck you. That's right.
It sure does.
Yeah. Urkel was an ass. You're right.
Now I'm off to buy Twinkies. Goodbye.
Yeah, and occasionally I get are you like Uncle Phil's younger brother?
Wow.
And I'll take that one.
I
That
didn't
one I'm
watch
on
that
board
show a
with.
lot, but now that I think about it,
Yeah,
totally.
I get it. It's been a weird fucking convention for me.
Tell me why.
It
First
really
off,
has.
before you say anything, I've been seeing Castle Rock everywhere. Marc worked on Castle Rock.
Yeah.
And I'll do even one better. It's one thing to be like, I see it everywhere because naturally this is a great place for them to talk about it, to pay for activations and kind of publicize it. But I'm talking about as a professional now. On the IMDboat, where I am a captain of sorts and shit, we were trying to get Castle Rock to come up and be interviewed and stuff. And they were so in demand, they were like, we would love to, but we just absolutely have no time. So it's a heavily buzzed about and in-demand show. IMDb wanted it on the boat because they're like, it's really high on the star meter and shit like that. A lot of interest, a lot of clicks on it. So there's a lot of interest in that show before anyone sees anything. Have they shown anything yet?
They're showing the pilot tomorrow. Tomorrow at 12:45 at the Castle Rock panel, which I am moderating, which also is fucking weird because I worked on the show. I know all the answers I'm going to ask the questions about.
Yeah.
You know? Like, tell me about that time that I was really smart in the room. Remember that? I invented like half this shit you can never give credit, but that's cool. Tell me about how great I am.
It's like
SpaceX.
you're heading into the room with the teacher's edition in your hand. Well
But
done.
that's why it's so surreal for me. Like, I've been coming, I'm not 25 years deep. I'm still young, and I'm 18 years coming to this thing. And I've never come before for a show that I worked on, and that's the only reason I'm here.
Right.
And then for that show to be fucking everywhere. Like, it's bizarre. It's so surreal.
What is their activation? They call it now. It's called an activation.
Right.
What's their booth? What's their exhibit? What
It's
do they do?
there's a haunted house, I think, like across from the Marriott Marquis.
Okay.
And they sunk half a car in some other fountain.
Is that half a car in
Yeah.
the fountain is theirs?
Yeah.
I saw that and I asked my wife. I was like, "Do you think that's the
An
con,
accident?
or is that you're like, did that just happen? Should we call somebody?" Like,
Yeah.
so that's for them.
That's for them. Yeah.
What does that? Is that? Can you tell? I mean, I know you can't tell us anything, but
I mean, at this point, I can tell you everything because the show's fucking almost out. I can do whatever. I'm a free man.
it's true.
I'm unbeholden to NDAs.
No, you're gonna get a call like you're no longer the moderator.
Yeah. Also, never come back. You're dead to JJ.
What is the car in the water? Does it have something to do with the plot?
It's part of the teaser of the show, I think, where a certain person who may or may not work at Shawshank Penitentiary may or may not sink his car in Castle Lake, which sort of kicks off all of the events of the pilot, of the show, for that matter.
See, you got me. You've already intrigued me with that. That sounds.
Yeah, see what I did
They
there?
should let you do the commercial where you're like, you may or may not watch this show.
These things may or may not happen. There may or may not be a Cujo on the loose. I'm not going to say there is or isn't.
I mean, fuck all these people. We're friends. Like, and never once were you like, Cujo's on the show.
Yeah, by the by, Cujo eats the shit out of Annie Wilkes.
Sexually? Wow, none of that happens, does it?
I mean, I may or may not be able to say that it totally does or does not happen.
Yeah, all right, I'm tuning in. Why has it been a weird con for you, though?
It's just I've never quite seen, because I mean, if you're in a TV show, if you're working on a TV show, there's 10 people in a room, and those 10 people are making up a fucking show. Like, it is also the best job in the world, and also really fucking hard, and you won't believe it, and I know, and that's fine because we're just having a conversation for like 8 months. But it's just the 10 of us in a room, and then suddenly the product, the fruits of the 10 of us in that room, are plastered around an entire district of a city, and that is weird.
Shit somebody said, like, because they're like, if I don't say something, I'm going to look stupid. So they're like, oh, a car goes in the lake. And then fucking a year later, there's a car in the fountain and shit.
There's a car in the fucking fountain. And I've covered this show, like, as a journalist for 17 of those 18 years. So I would be trying to get into that panel. I would try and get a good seat so I can cover it. I could be, like, jockeying for interviews with people. And that was my life for a long time. And so to be on the other side of that, of something so fucking huge and weird, I can't quite square the circle in my brain. I can't quite grok that this is now what my Comic-Con life is like.
I'm on the boat. I interviewed Shane Black and some of the cast of The Predator, including Miss Olivia Munn, who, for those of us with a longer memory, started over at G4 doing that very thing, interviewing people and stuff like that. Now she's on the other side of it. So I mentioned to her at one point, I was like, fuck, man, when we met, you were interviewing me, and now I'm interviewing you and stuff like that. We switched careers or whatever the fuck. You're like the Olivia Munn of writers, man.
I mean, I got the curves for it, so yeah, I'll take it. I've been building this body for 46 years, and it's finally come to fruition.
You got it locked, my friend.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's got to be fun, man. It's got to be exciting to be here in a different capacity than you've ever been here before.
It is super cool. I can come on the boat.
I'll take you.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about Castle Rock.
Yeah, and oh my God. I mean, that sounded so dirty. You're like, I could come on the boat, and I'm like, I'll take you. We are seamen. But yeah, believe me, I'll tell them. I was like, look, I can interview a writer from Castle Rock.
We got one guy.
Yeah, they're like, a writer. Man.
Really? The black one, though?
That's true, man. That's some currency now. Plus, I could tell him, I'm like, this is my co-host on Fat Man on Batman.
Yeah,
so it's like a double dip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not like I'll be like, what am I going to talk to him about?
Who are you? Tell me your story.
Yeah. The first thing I'll ask is Cujo really in that fucking show? Because that would be amazing.
I'll be like, yes. I don't need a job.
We should probably dive in because it being Comic-Con, there's probably a fucking abundance of news that we can get to.
There is some shit that happened over the last couple of days.
Yeah, like literally, and including up to like before we went just on the show, like shit's been breaking. It's Comic-Con, so there's news happening all the time. This is the section of the show where Mr. Marc Bernardin aggregates a bunch of news, and then we talk about it. Don't applaud it too hard. He just went to the internet and fucking pulled it off.
Listen, the hard work is getting to print this shit somewhere in San Diego.
You're not kidding.
Like, find me a business center.
But to be fair, also, like, you were a member of the, what was it, Fifth Estate, Fourth Estate?
Fourth Estate.
You were a journalist at one point.
I was.
And you put in many years as a journalist.
Totally did.
So that leaves you free to steal other journalist shit so we could do it on our show.
I'm not stealing, I'm reappropriating.
Smart.
See? I'm cogitating and regurgitating somebody else's work.
Spit that baby bird shit in my mouth.
So did you know?
Yes.
Speaking of fuck Batman.
Okay.
There's a character who will never fuck Batman, who may be getting a TV show. Batwoman.
Oh.
See what I did there?
I saw. Yeah,
it took a while. We took the
That
long
was like
road.
a really good riddle. Like I would have said 10 people before, and then when you said Batwoman, I'd be like,
George Bush will never fuck Batman.
Well, it's one of those like, who's buried in Grant's tomb? And I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of head scratcher is this? But you're right. Yeah, him and Batwoman wouldn't because she doesn't like dudes.
No, not even
Amongst
the slightest.
many other reasons. Yes, Batwoman is going to be a CW show.
Yeah, they're introducing her in the crossover.
Oh my God, are you just learning that now?
Like where?
I feel like we've broken something that somebody else broke. That's what it feels like to be a newsie.
You got it, Chief.
Saw that musical.
Yeah, so they're introducing Batwoman for whatever the big crossover is for...
The big crossover in the Berlanti-verse between Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and Legends is going to introduce the character of Batwoman.
Right, and so they're already beginning to develop the show. They're like, hey, if we're going to do the fucking work of introducing her, let's give her a goddamn show.
Plus, it's like, oh my God, we got a character with Bat in the name. Like, they'll never get Batman because he's viable cinematic franchise. And Batgirl, it looks like they're taken to the big screen as well, as we know. So this is like the Berlanti-verse's best close shot to getting into the Bat mythos. And we've seen what they've done, like with Supergirl. They didn't have the rights to Superman, but they had the Supergirl universe, which gives them the rights to most of the Superman universe. So a lot of great Superman stories were reappropriated for Supergirl stories and stuff. So it feels like they could be able to do the same thing here. Like, naturally they can't be taking the Joker and stuff like that, but they'll build a rogues gallery for that character, and they could tell a lot of stories that you've loved in comics through the Batwoman character that you've loved as Batman. This is the second bite of the apple. It's smart, man.
Yeah, like not only do you get Batwoman, but you probably also get Commissioner Gordon, which you can now insert into the Arrowverse, into the DC-verse, and that's worth it.
It gets you so much Bat real estate, and probably touches on characters like periphery characters that will make you go like, oh shit, there's pretty soon he'll show up, and there'll probably be lots of look. You can't do Batwoman without being like, why'd she pick that fucking name? So like, they gotta reference Batman. He may not be in the show, or maybe he is in the fucking show, like how Supergirl had Superman. Like the possibilities now are fucking endless. And if I'm Warner Brothers, I'm looking at everything Greg Berlanti has done with that universe and all those shows, and be like, give him the fucking crown jewels. Like, god damn it, give him fucking Batman. He can't fucking do worse, than what we've seen. So hopefully this is a step toward getting the big two, but also like anyone in that world will tell you, they're happy to not play with the big toys, and you're forced to be more creative with more inventive toys that people haven't picked up before. They took the Atom and turned him into a viable character with Brandon Routh, So like, it's maybe there's something to be said for not being allowed to touch the big two or the big three now, which would include Wonder Woman. It forces them to be more creative with other great characters.
Totally. And Berlanti has always been a champion of LGBTQ, some other letter after that. Awareness, and isn't there one more? IA, right. Which I don't know what that means, but I'm also super old, so give me a second.
They threw IATSE into that?
It's a union thing.
It's a union.
But so for him, I think it's a very, wow, that was like a joke grenade that just took like 10 minutes to go off back there.
Some teamster back there was like, fucking A!
You're right, not fat man anymore. But so for him, he's all about sort of reintroducing that sense of equality and inclusion and diversity into the superhero universe. So for this to be the sort of first/second, because I think, isn't there an openly gay character on Legends?
The Ray
was
introduced during the last crossover.
Right. So, but to lead a show, like, that's a big fucking deal.
Big deal.
So, well done, if it ever happens, because it's still in development and it may never happen, but good job for the thing you almost maybe got done.
It'll happen. I haven't heard of anything that he's worked on with any of the DC Universe characters that never went forward, right? Yeah. I mean, shit, he was the guy who was like, hey, let's do Archie. And I'm sure people were like, Archie, go fuck yourself for a minute, until somebody was like, no, this could be good. If they all fuck each other, it's amazing. Yeah, he can make anything work, man. Fucking, if your life is broken, give it to Greg Berlanti. He'll make a good version of it and shit.
Remember when Netflix bought like Mark Millar and everything he's ever done and everything he's ever owned before?
Miller World, yeah.
Miller World. They've officially greenlit 2 TV series and 3 movies based on the Miller World.
Holy shit, man. That's a lot of work at once.
That's a lot of fucking work.
What do we got?
Deep. Let's see. They're doing Jupiter's Legacy.
Okay.
Which Stephen DeKnight, who did Daredevil and Spartacus and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, is showrunning that.
Nice.
They're doing American Jesus, which, probably not timely at all. So no good reason why you would do that show today. But it's about a multilingual series about American Jesus, who's a 12-year-old boy who suddenly discovers he's returned as Jesus Christ.
Right.
So,
That's not controversial.
No, it's just a family romp. And then the movies are Empress, which is this big fucking giant science fiction thing that he did. Huck, which is about in a quiet seaside town, Huck uses special gifts to do a good deed each day, and then somebody gets murdered, I guess. And then Sharky the Bounty Hunter, which is not Sharky's Machine, which I was a little depressed that it wasn't Sharky's Machine, but that's fine. Which is in another sci-fi universe about a bounty hunter who may or may not be a shark. I really hope he's a fucking shark. I want him to be a fucking shark.
Is it may or may? That's a part of the plot. He may or may not be a shark.
That is just my hopes and dreams.
Oh fuck!
That
stop making a better version of the show, man.
That there's a shark hunting bounties.
That's great for Mark Miller. Holy shit, man, he's a good dude. And boy, that's a lot to greenlight at once. He's gonna be busy.
It really
he's got to oversee it, all of it.
Yeah, but I mean, Netflix is in the business of just dropping shit by the ton.
Yeah, everyone tells me that. Yet every time I go to pitch something at Netflix, they're like, "We're good." We
got enough.
They're like, we buy from everybody but you. Get the fuck out. I'm tired of this one-way relationship with Netflix. I give them my money. I want some of their fucking money, man. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it's like a savings bond. Listen, I gave you $20. I want $1,000 at the back end.
Yeah. $1,000 in the back end. The Marc Bernardin story. Coming soon to Lifetime.
It's the name of my sex tape.
What else is newsworthy?
You know how we love the Dune?
God damn it. Let's be honest.
Yes.
There are many Dunes to love, including the great original by Frank Herbert.
Yes.
I can't speak for you, but I don't love that.
I do love that.
Oh, do you? All right, now you stand alone.
I am the cheese.
I
stand
only
by
go
myself.
so far as Dune as David Lynch's Dune,
Okay.
which I think is a fantastic fucking movie. But
I will kill him!
Oh my God, that's fantastic. All I see is the Atreides I want to kill. That and I respect the books that they came from. I know those books influenced George Lucas as well.
Yep.
But I can't say that I've ever read them. You did. You actually read the books.
I've read the first 3, which are fucking awesome and super dense, and I will never read them again because I got other shit to do. But yeah, it's about like what it would really be like as a superhero. Like what happens when you insert a superhero into a political situation where nobody else can do the shit that a superhero can do, and how does that affect the world and / universe at large by some dude who can control shit with his mind.
Right.
So it's pretty great. I too love the David Lynch thing. I saw the miniseries that Sci-Fi did.
Did you like that? Jason Mewes loved it. That's his Dune. Whenever I talk about Dune, he starts talking about a different Dune, and I'm like, that ain't fucking Dune. He's like, I watched 12 fucking hours. It is Dune. Like, but yeah, that's his Dune. Yeah. But was it?
Like,
you
I
like
watch it and I like it, but it one of the first movies that I was ever challenged by was Dune. Because it makes no fucking sense.
The David Lynch one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and
tough.
like I spent, like my dad, I remember he was so proud of himself. He bought like one of the first VCRs, I think at the time, and like brought home Dune and was like, here you go. I bought you a science fiction picture like you like. I don't know why I did that accent because he's from Haiti and he's not at all like, this is what you like. It's like way more Frenchy.
It was kind of racist.
A little bit, which is weird for me, right?
Very.
Yeah. Don't drink from that fountain. It's gonna go bad. But so like he brought it home and I watched it and didn't understand any of it, and then watched it again immediately. Like it was the first time that I engaged with the thing I didn't understand.
So even though you were like, it's still intriguing.
Weird, I don't get it, but okay, Virginia Madsen is cute and Chani, why not? I get it, and I liked her in Blade Runner, and all of these things were cool.
You were like fucking. The movie was like the Benny Jesuit witch's box and shit.
It
you
really
put your
was.
hand in and
I
shit.
shall not fear. I feel not killer. Whatever fear I feel will pass over me and through me, and when it is gone, I shall remain.
Remove your hand, young human. That's a line from the movie.
We just did a thing that none of you know.
Yeah.
But we're really fucking happy about it.
Yeah. If you know Dune, that was kind of hot.
By my will alone, I set my mind in motion.
Yes, don't do it. You'll make me hard.
I won't. So yes, that was my Dune. So I have a very soft spot for that.
Many people have many different Dunes and stuff, but there's been no definitive Dune yet, to be honest.
Denis Villeneuve.
We like him. This is the guy who did The Arrival.
He did, and Sicario, and other shit before that, some of which was in French. So
and this year he did the Blade Runner movie.
He did Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
He is making a Dune movie.
Yes. Oh, that's right. He talked about this at one point.
He passed up doing James Bond to do Dune.
Number one, respect for that, right? Like, that's a great fucking move. Like,
Hell yeah.
James Bond's very tempting, but be like, look, I can't do anything different for Bond and stuff, but I could. Like, he's talked about the David Lynch Dune, and he's just like, oh, sweet, man, you rock, thanks. He's talked about the David Lynch Dune, and his thing is like, I love that movie, but if you know those books, like, there's a lot that wasn't covered, and one day I would like to do it. It sounds like he's getting his chance.
He's doing it, and he just cast his lead.
Oh, fuck,
Yes,
really?
Timothy Chalamet.
Did you feel the room get moist?
I really did.
There's a bunch of ladies went, ooh, and suddenly fucking it
Call
got
me
human.
by your name, Usul.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Usul. That is a good fucking reference right there. Wow. So wait, he would play Paul?
He would play Paul Atreides.
That means this movie gets greenlit. Number one, everyone loves this fucking kid right now.
Yep.
And number two, you got a director that everybody digs and shit. And even though the Blade Runner movie didn't light the world on fire, got a lot of respect. People really liked it. And wasn't it up for awards? Did Deakins win?
Deakins won.
So it won Academy Awards and stuff.
And he
This
was
is a guy
nominated
who's on a
for
streak.
Arrival.
He was nominated for Arrival as well. There's no way this movie doesn't get made now. You put that kid in there,
Yep.
fuck.
And he's all like dewy and handsome and elfin and young and slight. And
So you can make a lot of movies with him if you want, if you're going to cover a bunch of those books.
Totally. And it can be as gay as you want it to be.
I believe that's the subtitle. Dune, as gay as you want it to be.
Have you seen our sand dicks? That is all we do here.
Men with giant sand dicks between their legs.
The sleeper has awakened. If you walk with our rhythm, you won't disturb the worm.
Fucking Frank Herbert spinning in his grave right now, going, it wasn't meant to be dirty. It's a Christ parable. That's him spinning.
Very nice.
I want to see this movie in a big bad way, man.
Fuck yeah. There's no release date. There's no like production date, but it's
I'll wait
clearly
for
happening.
it. And well, think about it. It's his backdoor superhero franchise. You've pegged it perfectly.
Backdoor.
We all want a little backdoor superhero franchise, don't we? That's like instead of doing, of course, Marvel or DC, he's found a way to do his own superhero movie.
And Legendary bought the film and TV rights. Legendary's making it. So they can absolutely spin this into a TV show if they want. They can do the thing they've been talking about in Hollywood of, we're going to do a movie, and then between movies, we're going to do a season of TV, and then come back and do a sequel. They were supposed to do that with The Dark Tower, and then The Dark Tower sucked, and so they didn't do that.
Was that the official reason?
I think so. They were like, we could do this, but it sucked.
I wonder if, it should work. Like, it feels like it goes the other way. Didn't X-Files do it in reverse? They had a successful run on TV, then did a theatrical movie, and then went back and continued the show for a while, if I remember correctly.
And they did 2 movies, one of which nobody gave a shit about.
The one with the werewolves or something.
Was it werewolves?
I don't know. See, I didn't give a shit. Well, I look forward to this Dune picture, man. This Denis Villeneuve is a wonderful director, so I look forward to that.
They are making a Why the Last Man show. You knew this, yes?
I think I'd heard this at one point. And this is a beloved comic book property.
Yes.
Fucking people love the shit out of Why the Last Man. They've been talking about this needs to be a something ever since like issue 3, I believe.
Yeah, it's the reason why Brian Vaughan got a job writing on Lost when Lost was huge, because
Most of the people read Y.
Damon Lindelof was a huge fan of Y and was like, that dude should be on a TV show.
Wow.
Yeah. Like it had been in features for a while. They flirted with it for movies, but they're legit making a fucking show. So much they've cast the show.
They got a cast member. Please say it's Timothy Chalamet. So we can watch these fuckers fight.
It's Barry Keoghan.
Oh!
Keoghan.
Fucking love this kid. He was in a movie called The Killing of the Sacred Deer.
He was.
Jesus.
Yes.
If you've not seen this fucking movie, it is so worth your time. I forget who put it out. Maybe it feels like an A24 movie, I think.
It was.
But holy fuck. I had never seen a movie like this. And he was phenomenal in a very tricky role where the whole movie rested on his shoulders.
Yeah. He was also in Dunkirk.
Yeah. He's the boy that, spoilers, if you haven't seen it, cover your ears.
He's a white British guy.
Yeah. He's the one that he dies on the boat, right?
He does die on the boat, yeah.
He's a great actor. I'm telling you, that Killing of a Sacred Deer movie is a fucking brain burner, man. There's a scene in that movie where you're like, did they just fucking say that? Did Colin Farrell just admit to that? Like, it's crazy. Is Colin Farrell? Yeah, Colin.
Yeah. He told me about it on the podcast, and I was like, is he going to talk about jerking off in front of his dad in this movie? Because this is fucking weird. I have to watch it now.
Yes. Yes, you were like, what the fuck?
There was a time when I walked into my dad's room, and he was sitting there, and I jerked off in front of him.
I'd forgotten. I scrubbed it from my brain. You fucking remembered it. Oh, that was nuts.
Yeah, I watched it like 2 weeks ago, because the new TV show that I'm on, the show called Treadstone, which is in like the whole Jason Bourne universe, the spies and weird shit and whatever. But we've been talking a lot about Roman Polanski.
Okay.
And the way he, a awful human being, clearly not a good dude, should never be allowed back in the country, should probably still be persecuted, but also made like a handful of great movies before he turned into an asshole. But the way he would film paranoia, like all of his movies are ultimately about paranoia and voyeurism and all that shit. And so when we're talking about, sort of espionage and identity and all the stuff that plays into Treadstone, don't tell anybody I told you. They are totally going to fire me if anybody hears that I told you about paranoia and all of that shit. So never mind. But I had to watch. I watched Killing of the Sacred Deer, and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It is super fucked up, so thanks.
It's worth your time.
Yeah. All the fucked up shit I watch is because you tell me I should watch it.
Totally.
You're like, have you seen Black Mirror? No. Let me tell you about the first episode of Black Mirror. The Prime Minister has to fuck a live pig.
Spoilers?
Sorry, he fucks a pig.
All right, so
Yeah, why The Last Man?
Yes.
That's where we were.
who's cast?
Barry Keoghan is Yorick.
Yes.
Diane Lane is the President of the United States.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Who's doing this show? They got some money, apparently.
Yeah, FX is doing the show.
Oh, it's an FX show.
Yes, being showrun by Michael Green.
Oh, our boy.
Our boy Michael Green, who
Yeah.
did Logan and
He had a
Murder
great
on the
year
Orient
last year, and he
Express.
wrote a fucking
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, and there was another franchise movie,
Yeah,
an
he did
Alien. I think he was
one of the
involved in the
Aliens,
Alien.
and was running the first season of American Gods.
Yeah.
All in a year, which is nuts. But yeah, so Diane Lane is the president. Barry Keoghan is, Yorick. Amber Tamblyn is the daughter of the president
Okay.
of the United States. Imogen Poots is playing Hero Brown, Yorick's sister.
Oh, shit.
And a woman named Lashana Lynch is playing Agent 355.
Wow.
And she's in Captain Marvel.
She's also in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
There's probably no better time than now for Why the Last Man. This is a female-heavy cast.
Hell yeah. Like, on the heels of Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
Which is awesome and awful and dispiriting and will make you want to cry and curl up in your room and just wish the world wasn't this way, but it totally is because look where we are.
Boy, they should put that on a poster. You sold the shit out of that
I feel
show.
like I'm missing my calling.
Can't wait to go home and fucking go to sleep watching that warm blanket. But Marc said.
He said it was going to break my soul, and he was right.
He did. Now I gotta go watch Killing of a Sacred Deer again.
But no, it is the perfect time for that show.
No doubt.
It really is. And FX, it seems as if they're stepping up the fucking bat.
Is Brian Vaughn working on it?
He will be an executive producer. He will have some involvement in it, but he's not running the show.
He's
and
not?
I don't think, as I understand it, the writing staff is entirely female, except for Michael Green.
Except for Michael Green.
Yes.
That makes sense.
He's like, you know what? I should be the only dude in the room because I wanted a job on that show. And I said, hey, Michael, you know what? I've read all of Why the Last Man. Can I be on the show? He said, no. I like you, but no. Why? Because you're a man.
Why? The Last Man.
Is me, not you.
That's smart. They should do that with the directors as well. Might as well
It would not surprise me if they did.
go all female directors.
Yeah. Would not surprise me if they did. Because Ava DuVernay has done that on Queen Sugar. Like, it is not precedent to do that.
Didn't they do it on Jessica Jones as well
They
last
did do it
season?
on Jessica Jones. Like, you can, nobody would know. It's not like suddenly it's a bad show because it's nothing but ladies, and it's amazing. And so fucking keep doing it. Well, if it makes sense, do it. And it always makes sense.
That is smart, particularly with that show.
Hell yeah.
Well, we look forward to that. Fuck, man. Another successful DC TV thing, it sounds like. Vertigo, I guess that's technically their Vertigo.
Technically Vertigo. And as I understand it, that was the last great deal Vertigo ever made. Because Vertigo used to be creator-owned,
Yeah.
much like Image, much like Dark Horse used to be back in the day. And so Why the Last Man did so insanely fucking well all over the world. Like Brian Vaughn would say, I bought my house based on the Italian reprints of Why the Last Man. And the deal was so good that Vertigo said, we can never make another deal like this because we're losing too much money. And so it's Vaughn's fault that if you go to Vertigo now, like, no, we're going to take most of the rights, and no, you'll get a piece, and it'll be healthy, but you will never make Brian Vaughn money.
Could you imagine if somebody just slapped you in the face with the fucking big dick of reality by saying, you are never going to make Brian K. Vaughan money? That would fucking hurt, man. You're like,
who's Brian K. Vaughan? Like Diana Ross money I get, I'm never going to make that, but Brian K. Vaughan.
the first question you should ask is, why? And then they're like, the last man. Then run out. All right, so what happens next, man?
Let's see. Were you a fan of Robocop?
Of course, naturally. You mean Paul Verhoeven's visionary Robocop movie?
Paul Verhoeven's visionary Robocop, which is one of the best movies ever made.
Absolutely.
They've made sequels to that movie, which have almost uniformly sucked.
They've been as strong as the RoboCop initial entry.
That is putting it.
Frank Miller worked on one.
Overly kindly.
I'm trying to
feel.
Frank
Nice
Miller,
job.
I believe, was on the second one. Or
He
third
did,
one?
yeah. He wrote the second one, which is why he hated Hollywood so much he wouldn't sell the rights to anything else ever.
Yeah.
Until Robert Rodriguez showed up and was like, "No, you can be co-director of Sin City." I swear to God.
It's a true story.
He hated his experience in Hollywood. But so yes, RoboCop is getting another sequel.
Now, a sequel to Paul Verhoeven's visionary original? Because that would be exciting.
I think that is exactly what they're going to do, Kevin.
Well, I read this story, and I think you're wrong, Marc.
Do tell, Kevin.
They're making a sequel to the Joel Kinnaman one that they made a couple years ago. And it's the guy who did that robot movie. What was it called?
Chappie?
Chappie. Yeah.
I'm sure he hates that that's how you remember him. It's like,
No, he did
I made District 9, motherfucker.
I know. He's
made
also a fellow graduate. Well, not even yeah, I guess I am now. He went to the Vancouver Film School.
Ooh.
Which I went to the Vancouver Film School, and when we made Clerks, we were the most famous fucking people that came out of the Vancouver Film School for years and shit. And then years later, he made District 9. So now they're like, we fucking educated the motherfucker who made District 9, you fucks. And the guy that made Clerks once. Fucking very low key in the background.
I did a thing too, you guys.
He's he's a wonderful director. So wait, I'm telling you the story.
Please
he
do.
is making a sequel to the revamped RoboCop.
There's your mistake.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a good director, so maybe he'll turn it into something. And what a great thing it would be if he made it more exciting and people are like, holy shit. It's not unheard of that the second movie is better than the first. Star Trek the Motion Picture, I would argue, is not nearly as good as Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan. So this could go in that direction. But let's be honest, if we all had our wish come true, it would be that he directly sequelizes the movie we all know with Peter Weller in it. But maybe that's just not possible at this point. Although, since we all love Marvel movies, we know they could take Michelle Pfeiffer and make her look fucking 20. So if somebody cared enough and wanted to spend enough money, Peter Weller, well, he'd have to agree to be in it and shit.
Yeah,
but they could make him RoboCop again.
Then again, all you got to do is put the fucking bottom half of that dude's jaw in. It's mostly mask.
You're right, man.
That's nothing. He's in the costume for the whole fucking movie, unless it's taking him out of the costume. But they're never going to do that because he wants that.
Right.
I want RoboCop.
That's true. And he also looked creepy whenever he took his helmet off. You were like, ew, put it back on.
You're too shiny.
You're the future of law enforcement, I understand. But I believe they put that as one of his instructional orders and shit. Never take that helmet off.
Just leave it on.
It's creepy.
Leave your hat on.
You leave your hat on. Yeah, that's coming, man. You can't stop that movie. But that guy is a really strong director, and so I think we might get a pretty good RoboCop movie. To be fair, I own that remake RoboCop movie on home video, digitally or whatever. And it's not bad. It's good. It's just not Paul Verhoeven's. It lacks a sense of humor. The wonderful thing about the Paul Verhoeven original is darkly fucking satiric and had laughs in it. Not the least of which is, I buy that for $1, you know. The other one, it was like they were like, what do people like about these movies? They're like, the jokes? Fuck no. And they took them all out and should just put the action in. And when you take the humor out of RoboCop, it's a fucking sad story about a cop who gets killed and his family thinks he's dead and shit. He can't really go back to him and stuff. It's really heartbreaking. But so the laughs kind of help.
Yeah, it's Frankenstein, but with jokes.
Oh my God, you're right. You got to review that movie, man. It's like a fucking 10-word review. It's Frankenstein with jokes / Marc Bernardin.
Go see it.
Is that the end of the news?
That is the end of the news, my friend.
That's the end of the news that Marc's collected, but let's figure out what we've heard today. Big news that come out of Comic-Con, and I know this from working with the good folks at the IMDb this morning. We did a piece at the end of the day, the wrap-up. They did a anniversary panel, a 10th anniversary panel for the Clone Wars animated series.
That's right.
That was nice, but what they showed was at the end, they dropped a fucking trailer for a continuing series. They're going to go finish Clone Wars, the animated fucking series, man. Can you believe that? For those that don't follow this sort of thing closely, they did the Clone Wars animated series, stopped, and then started Rebels, and there was never a real absolute conclusion. You never saw the end of the Clone Wars and stuff. They're actually going back to do it. If you watch the trailer online right now, you'll see your favorites. You'll see Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you'll see Anakin Skywalker, and you'll see, spoilers, wait for it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Ahsoka. Ahsoka's in it as well. And what I talked about with the kids on the IMDb boat today was, do you think that is a backdoor way to get that character into the live action films? Like, you know, that's one of the strongest female characters in the Star Wars universe, but just comes from the animated realm. They never brought her into the live action films. Feels like this is an opportunity, you know, because otherwise you got two older characters. Anakin Skywalker, we know what happens to him, emo bitch. No! And Obi-Wan Kenobi, we know what happens to him as well. So Ahsoka is a character from that series and from that world that has never been in the live action stuff, who you could absolutely go deep on. And that sounds dirtier than I meant to, but you could make whole movies devoted to that character. And, you know, there is a kind of scarcity of female characters in the Star Wars universe. It's a big sausage party. They do have Princess Leia, of course, the original strong female character.
But not really anymore.
Exactly. And in a world where you can't do those stories anymore, you have a character tried, true, and tested who Star Wars fans already adore. You pull that character into live action, you're going to make so much fucking money and stuff. So we were on the boat today going, who plays her in a live action movie? Right away, I said Rosario Dawson.
Ooh, good pull.
Right? Fantastic pull. And what was so weird is while we were on the boat saying it, somebody asked the question, somebody down below on the docks yelled out just as I was saying it. They were like, Rosario Dawson. I was like, yes, bitch! And it was fucking Rosario Dawson. No.
You son of a bitch.
Who would you, you're totally welcome to Rosario, but who would be the backup in case Rosario was like, no, but I happen to know that she would do it. I've seen her say in press, like, I would love to play Ahsoka.
I mean, she's busy. She's already got like 9 franchises, but Zoe Saldana.
Of course. Would
also be amazing.
Anyone who could make Gamora work that well.
Yeah, and you know who else would be great? Jessica Hadwick, I think, who plays, what's her face? Colleen Wing, yes, on Iron Fist.
Oh, right on.
I knew the actress's name in space and the character's name, but yes, I think she'd be amazing.
Okay, so that was the big news, man. They're going to finish Clone Wars and stuff. Other big news is, I don't know if you've seen any of the imagery from day one of Comic-Con Preview Night, and on day one, is today, Thursday, when we're recording this show. Of course, the big trailer preview everyone's waiting for is Aquaman, James Wan's Aquaman film. And we've seen some stills and we've seen some imagery from the movie and stuff. But thanks to Comic-Con, and the trailer's about to drop, and I'm sure we're going to see some of this in that trailer, but we definitely saw it reflected in the toys that are on the floor and the giant Lego that they made. I mean, this is fucking sounds so stupid that I didn't think they'd do it, but they're giving Aquaman the orange shirt in that movie, man. Like, they show images of him, and it's not like an orange t-shirt, but it's like armored, and it looks like a superhero costume, but it is that orange, whatever you would call it, fucking tone, man. It was so, it made me so happy today. Like, honestly, that's not only the small attention to detail but paid in this movie based on what I've seen. The Black Manta costume they fully revealed looks exactly like the fucking comic book character. Looks exactly like the Super Friends fucking villain and shit. He didn't shy away from going like, oh, this helmet's ridiculous. Let's not do it. He literally did that helmet, and there's a life-size version of it on the con floor, and it does look ridiculous. Like, I mean, but it's ridiculously awesome. Like, and it's gonna play in that movie in a big bad way.
That's the thing. Aquaman is soup to nuts, 100% dumb as fuck. So, if you were gonna make an Aquaman movie, just be dumb as fuck. Just do it all.
They showed giant crab people, like people with crab claws that stand all tall. I was like, I'm gonna get so fucking high and watch this movie. Oh my God, this is phenomenal.
It is gonna be your Yellow Submarine.
It really is. All of it looks fantastic. I think Den of Geek did a issue handout or something like that. I know them as a website, but I think they did a San Diego handout or something. But there was artwork for Aquaman that showed looks at characters that I haven't seen portrayed any other places and shit, including Orm with helmet on and stuff. Ocean Master. this shit looks like the truest comic book movie ever made. Like, it really hones close to the Aquaman universe I know and the look of the Aquaman universe I know. We've seen Mira. She looked fantastic in Justice League. And, you know, maybe it was easy to look fantastic in Justice League, but, like, she did. She looks very on point for the character and stuff. But it looks like James Wan was like, yeah, no, we'll totally do Aquaman justice.
Orange suit, and I dig it.
Yeah. He went for it. I can't fucking wait. I was excited to see the movie. I was always in the bag for it. But this jacked me up in a way where I was just like, I will fucking I might just go watch the trailer or try to get into Hall H like a normie tomorrow.
Do you know what I spent, like, probably more time than I should have watching in the last couple of days?
Tell me.
The Bohemian Rhapsody trailer.
Fucking great, isn't it?
Holy shit.
Oh, that kid's a good actor. He's great on fucking...
God, like, listen, it does not in any way hew close to the shit we're supposed to talk about, aside from Flash Gordon, and they better spend, like, 10 minutes talking about Flash Gordon.
At least doing the Flash Gordon score.
But I am obsessed with this fucking movie, and I don't even know why. Other than, like, I've been a Queen fan since forever, and I know enough of the story to know, like, spoilers, he dies.
Yeah. Freddie Mercury is going to hit the iceberg at the end of this movie.
Unless he doesn't, because
he stays on, he's like, live, and then...
Yeah, because like he does the score for Highlander and thinks he's immortal and is actually end up being immortal.
You mean when he was like, who wants to live forever?
Who needs forever anyway? But like,
that's not even the only badass Queen movie song that they did. Of course, Highlander was awesome, but they did Iron Eagle as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was
One Vision.
Yeah, that was a track they already had that they used for Iron Eagle.
Is that right?
Yeah,
They didn't create it for the movie.
It wasn't an original song.
Look at the Queen fan.
I'm
the closet Queen fan came out.
I am a queen like you wouldn't believe.
What about, what was the other one? Born to be kings, we're the princes of the universe. Here we belong, fighting to survive in a war where the darkest power. You don't know the fucking words, man. You're no Queen fan.
But here's the thing. Here's like the thing to know about Queen before going in. I'm gonna spoil some shit. Is that, you know, Freddie, again, spoilers, had AIDS and died of complications from said disease. The last live show they ever did was Live Aid.
Yeah.
And so the machinations behind the scenes were like Freddie, who had played stadiums his entire life, knew, all right, we're gonna play. They picked the time slot. They were like, the Who was there, and the Police were there, and a bunch of fucking bands. They're like, we're going to play this time slot. We're the only ones who've ever played a fucking stadium, and that was their last show they ever played live. And if this movie doesn't end with Live Aid, I will eat my fucking shoe. Because it is the most dramatic, wonderful moment, because they fucking killed it. Everybody written off Queen, like Freddie's kind of sick and he's not feeling strong and we're not sure if he's going to be able to get out there on stage. And for 6 songs, they tore it fucking up. And just to see Rami Malek in that, like the white tank top with the fucking studded bracelet.
He's phenomenal.
And the mustache, like the mustache plays.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it totally works.
And I spent like half an hour one day just watching it over and over and over and over again. Like, how many Galileos do we need? One more Galileo!
They've done 2 trailers now. Both trailers are fantastic and totally watchable over and over and over again.
And Bryan Singer directed this movie.
Kinda.
Mostly.
Well, kinda. He's not the director of record on the credits.
Is he not?
Oh,
Is
no.
it the new dude?
Yeah, it's the guy who was in, what's his name? He was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He's an actor. He comes out of the Matthew Vaughn world, if I remember correctly. Somebody pull your phone up. And you feel free to yell if you have the information. Dexter Fletcher, thank you. Dexter Fletcher is an actor, and he's directed as well. But he came in after Bryan Singer,
like flamed out spectacularly,
or escaped. I forget what it was. Like he left the country or something like that. He took off. So Dexter Fletcher was the one that finished the movie, and I don't know how much he did, but apparently Bryan Singer and Mr. Robot Rami Malek, like
hated each other,
butted heads. He apparently didn't. I've read an article. I think it was a Hollywood Reporter piece where they talked about like
there can only be one temperamental queen in this band.
Look at you dropping all the lines from the trailer. You have watched it a few times.
I really have.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. It absolutely looks phenomenal. My brother is a huge Queen fan. But when I was a kid, that was like one of the first albums I remember being played over and over in the house. Like, your music usually is influenced by music that you hear. And before there was an internet and Spotify and all that shit, before there was digital music of any kind, it was my brother's records that influenced the music that I would go on to like and hear. Queen, he was an early adopter of Queen. Later on, turns out he was gay. All makes sense now. But he informed my tastes in a lot of things, man. So this might be a movie I go see with my brother. And I'll try, and he'll be like, "Fuck you, I'm seeing it with my husband." So
can I come
might
too?
do that. Yeah, I might be a third wheel on that date. It does look absolutely phenomenal.
On board.
Yeah, I'm ready to do that one. I'm trying to think what else came out of Comic-Con today. Anything that I knew specifically. No, I think those are the two big stories. Who did I interview today? Shane Black and the Predator. The Predator.
Is Sterling K. Brown as dreamy in real life?
He wasn't there, so I had to.
What the fuck?
But you know who is dreamy and very funny in real life is Keegan.
Really?
Keegan-Michael Key. Yeah, it was nice to meet him. I've never crossed paths with him. But he was funny. And, he's known to be funny. And I've seen him be funny, for years and stuff. I've seen him be funny not just on Comedy Central, but with the fucking president of the United States. Remember when he was Luther, the anger translator and stuff? So to me, he's funny. That's like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So he was on the boat, and I said something, and he legit laughed, and I was like, I made a funny person laugh. Like,
Trust me.
It made me put a real air in my feet, and then all of a sudden Variety's like, way to go, Kevin James, and I was like, fuck.
I know exactly how that feels.
How do you know?
I've made funny people laugh occasionally.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, sometimes on this very podcast. When I was at the Hollywood Reporter, we were doing some story. I think it was an end of the year thing, and it was like, the groundbreakers or the icons, whatever. Every magazine does some fucking end of the year wrap up. And so I had pitched, Key and Peele, because at the time their show was like in the third season and was killing it. And so we did a big photo shoot with the two of them, and I went to the set of the shoot because that's what you fucking do if you can do. And I remember we had this table of props, just fucking Acme level props, like fucking crazy straight up Warner Brothers animation props, like giant grenades and hammers and like a torpedo and whatever. And I remember that Key and Peele, Jordan and Keegan, literally sat there for like 15 minutes examining the tray of props, super fucking serious. Like, we could do something with this, right? Like, yeah. What if I threw this at you and you didn't catch it? Like the weird serious business of comedy. Like these guys analyzing and strategizing. Like, what would be really funny? I mean, we're not going to be funny, but it'll be funny if we do this.
Right.
And I was like, this is how you make comedy? It's really fucking boring? It's like, yeah. What if I put the grenade in my mouth and you hit it with the mallet? That'll be great. Sure, guys. I guess make it funny then. And it was amazing. But
when they did it,
I had never seen, I'm sure it's like magicians talking about other magicians' tricks. Like, that was great the way you made that chicken come out of your ass. How did you do that? Well, I put a chicken in my ass and I pretended not to notice. And then the chicken comes out of my ass and people clap. That's how we do this.
Will you take me to one of your magic shows? Because the way you discuss the chicken from the ass thing, you're like, oh, it's so commonplace. I'm like, I've never seen that, Marc.
I mean, there's the castle behind the magic castle where the weird shit happens.
The castle. Where are you playing tonight? Castle behind the magic castle? They're like, oh, I'm sorry. I guess you're going to be dealing with the chicken out the ass, aren't you?
Yeah. No, it's just ass shit. That's all we do back here. Do you want these flowers?
It's a good bit, man. That's worthy of a Key and Peele sketch right there.
I'm working on it.
I like it. All right, man. So we're done talking about the news. That means we turn the show over to the other part, man. Generally, well, I don't know. Well, I'm trying to think, man. Like, normally we go into the Q&A, but
You still can, though.
Well, we can, but I'm not sure if he's here or not because I didn't hear from him. Umberto, are you here?
Maybe not.
Did anybody see Umberto Ramos? I mean, is he here? Don't say like, yeah, I know him. He's great.
Yeah. No, we all fucking know him. That doesn't help, though.
No, he's not here. I thought he was supposed to meet up here. All right, we're gonna talk to him on the show.
Fuck you, Umberto.
No,
I know he's a lovely man.
An amazing artist and stuff.
Fuck him a little bit.
Hopefully, we'll get him on Fat Man at the
Yeah, please do.
at the Cantina. Normally, we do this show at the Scum and Villainy Cantina in Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard, JC's place. And when we do it, our good friend Deacon is in the audience, and our good friend Deacon works at the 40X joint. Man, 40X. If you've never seen a movie in 40X, it's another way to consume media. It's another way to watch a movie. If you've never seen it, do yourself a favor, try it out, man. It's the experience where whatever's happening on screen starts happening in the theater. So if it's snowing in the movie, it starts snowing in the theater. I was really blazed, and I went to see Civil War, and opening shot of the movie, it's on a snowy terrain, and all of a sudden it's fucking snowing on me. I'm like, this shit's amazing. So if somebody like goes on a motorcycle or a car, you smell burnt rubber. Like, it's real cool. If you're watching, your chair moves the entire time. Even during the credits, if you're watching Star Wars, your chair goes back so you could read the fucking crawl and shit. It's a wonderful experience and stuff. 40X Theater. There's one in Los Angeles at LA Live. Yeah. I think I don't know if there's one in Diego, but there's one on the way here.
Yeah, there's one in, let's see, Pico Rivera and Vista, California.
And if you're in town and you're I don't know, living in fucking California, they got them in Chicago, they got them in New York as well. They're starting to be everywhere. So Deacon gives us tickets that we like to give out during the Q&A, man. If people ask cool enough questions, basically we got 5 sets of tickets, 2 people, 5 sets of 2 tickets.
Yes.
So you get to go with somebody as opposed to just going by yourself, like, one please. And have people be like, what happened? So,
what'd you do?
Yeah, why don't you have friends for this? What we like to do is we open this up to the audience, let you guys ask questions and stuff. The only thing that we ask is that the questions have to be something we could both answer. So please don't ask something like, what's Jay up to? Marc doesn't know.
No. I can make some shit up, but it won't be true.
And I can give you a quick answer. He's in that room. So we like questions that start discussions, man. Let us go deep diving on stuff that we love and whatnot, or talk about writing, being creative and stuff. But it's all up to you guys. Now, I don't know if we could turn up the lights in here a little bit just to see folks. But if not, we're just going to have to do this kind of shit. Oh, yeah, totally. Fantastic. We're going to make this easy. We'll start because we're right here in the front so we can get a mic in there, and we'll try to work back and ask for you to project when it's time. But we're going to begin with you, young soldier. That's an amazing fucking Fat Man shirt you got on, a fantastic hat. Oh, my God, there is a microphone. Fucking A, well done, man. Rorschach, give it up for him, man, our sound guy. How are you? What's your name?
My name's Matt.
Matt, everyone give it up for Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Matt Man on Batman, you have the floor. Ask whatever you want.
So I actually have 2 questions. One was...
Oh, don't get greedy, man.
Yeah, what the fuck, Matt? Just give you an inch and shit. I'll let you go for some titty. You're going for third base as well? What the fuck? Keep it above the waist. No, go ahead. You get 2.
So the first one was one I saw going around Twitter, was one that said, if you could replace the cast of a movie with Muppets, except one, but be one human character, what movie would it be, what human character would you keep? And then the second one was, if you guys had to recast the MCU and the Avengers, but with an 80s cast, like if they made it in the 80s, who would you cast as the Avengers with the 80s cast?
So you want a 40-minute answer to the...
That's a lot of fucking work, son.
You're trying to win all the tickets.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's try. We'll do the first one first. The first question is...
If you could recast any movie with Muppets,
except
but keep
one human character,
who do you keep?
Oh my God. Someone said Ocean's 11, but Brad Pitt's the only human and the rest are puppets. It's a good choice. Good choice. All right. So let's see. Who? Well, you start. You have
I'm gonna
one?
start.
Okay.
Only because I've answered this question already. So
What?
I fucking cheated.
How the fuck did you answer this question already? That's like the most original question I'd heard. But go ahead.
Boogie Nights. But what?
Is the dick a Muppet as well?
15 inches of felt, baby. But you keep Burt Reynolds.
Okay, I got one.
It's my big dick.
That's pretty awesome. I go Empire Strikes Back, but Yoda is the human. All right, so that was the first question. And the second question, hit them with the mic again one more time, Rorschach, so we can go
If
through
you could recast the Avengers.
Yeah, if you guys like had to recast the Avengers, but like it was made in the '80s, so what would the '80s cast of the Avengers be? Like, who would you cast as the Avengers?
First Avengers, and we just have to do the main lineup?
Yeah.
All right.
Including or not including Loki?
Sure.
Agent Coulson or no Agent Coulson?
God damn, son.
Here we go. All right, let's start. We'll do character by character.
Okay.
80s Thor, go.
Fuck.
I go. Can I go
80s Thor,
first?
Brian Bosworth.
Nice. I go Alexander Godunov from Die Hard. And Money Pit and ballet in general. But
Fair
he would be, he already had the hair and shit,
Oh,
and he
hell
already
yeah.
had a funny accent, so it's
All
all
right,
fucking
good.
Next up, Captain America. Captain America 1980s. Where in the 80s? What year specifically? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Can we go late 80s? Tom Cruise.
Ooh. Yeah, see, I'm not going to do
Coming
that.
off of Rain Man,
Not
Tom
going to do
Cruise?
that.
No?
I'm saving Tom Cruise.
Okay, fair
Because
enough.
Tom Cruise is Iron Man, clearly.
Tom Cruise.
But okay, Captain America in the 1980s. Chuck Norris.
And Delta Force's Chuck Norris as Captain America. Oh, fair enough. Okay, so Iron Man for you
It's Tom Cruise.
is Tom Cruise. Iron Man for me in the 80s. Iron Man in the 80s. Oh, William Hurt. From Body Heat and fucking The Accidental Tourist.
I mean, sure.
I guess he's more of a Reed Richards type, but I'm
Yeah.
going to stand by my
All right,
Iron
you stick
Man.
with that. See who shows up at your movie. Okay.
But to be fair, my guy did wind up in an Avengers
He
movie.
really did.
Yeah,
You
kind
presaged
of. Not
it.
Avengers, but in the Marvel U.
And also, Tom Cruise was almost Tony Stark.
Was he?
Yeah. There was a time they were developing it at Paramount, and Tom Cruise, as Paramount's golden boy, was almost Tony Stark.
But he was like, no?
I think that version of it went away, and then it resuscitated, and then we get the world we got.
The RDJ of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, Black Widow.
Demi Moore.
Wow. You've been waiting to say that for 10 years. That just fucking came right out of your mouth.
I just had that shit right here.
Oh my
Just,
God.
Who you got? Tell me.
That was your hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. Like you were, your whole life you were ready to answer Demi Moore. 80s, you took Demi Moore. Who do I take? Black Widow. 80s. I want to say Stevie Nicks, but they won't let me do
Dude,
that.
You know who you should take?
Marissa Tomei. What a great call, man.
My rookie would have been Natasha Kinski.
Ooh, especially if you're doing like 1981.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
Like
good. I
cat
might
people
steal
shit.
that. Natasha Kinski.
All right, it's all yours, man. Just because I love you, because if not,
I'll take it. We share things.
Yeah.
And did we leave any Avengers off? The Hulk.
Bruce Banner.
So who plays Bruce Banner in the 80s? Bruce Willis. And Bruce Willis as Bruce Banner. I took the part because my name's the same. You got to turn green. Fuck that.
Not doing it today.
James Spader. Oh my God. As who?
Bruce Banner.
As Bruce Banner? He's more of a Loki. Somebody just yelled Loki. He does feel more like a Loki to me.
All right.
Especially because if he was playing Loki like he played the fucking dude in Pretty in Pink, all shitty, leaning on cars. And he's like, I wouldn't fuck her with a stolen dick. I know that wasn't a line, but you know what I'm saying. That was his shitty attitude.
All right.
Hawkeye. In the 80s, he
you
ain't in
didn't
this
do
shit.
Hulk. You didn't do the Hulk.
I didn't do my
who's your
Hulk.
Bruce Banner?
I thought I did. Who's my Hulk? Rob Lowe. Hold on. Let me think. Let me go through the 80s in my head. Oh. Michael Keaton.
Ooh, nice.
And I get him before he's Batman.
Nice. All right.
Yes.
I'm gonna go Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum is
Jeff
the Hulk?
Goldblum is the Hulk.
Oh my God, it's the one incarnation of the Hulk where I'm like, fuck the Hulk, bring back Bruce Banner.
I want more of that. What are you doing? That sauce is
He's
delicious.
way more interesting and way more fucked up.
All right, so Loki.
I liked James Spader as Loki. I might stand by that. What about you? 80s bad guy.
80s bad guy.
Robert Davi?
Alan Rickman.
You'd never get him. You actually might have, man. Like Die Hard was what, 89? And that
88.
was his 88, and that was his breakout.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might have again. And you would have had. I mean, look, we all love Tom's Loki, but holy fuck, Alan Rickman's Loki would have been the truth. That was a great question. You definitely win tickets. Give him his tickets.
Yeah. All right, who else we got? Who's
Go
got a
ahead.
thing they want to know?
Take us right there, Rorschach. You're in charge. You get to pick the people. It's more democratic
You
that
have
way. We
so
won't
much
get beat up
power.
afterwards. Take all the power.
So much power.
How's it going, guys?
Hey!
How are you? What's your name?
Dylan, all the way from Australia, guys, so huge fan.
Everyone give it up for Dylan.
Are you from Australia, did you say?
Yeah.
That's a long fucking commute, man.
It was a painful trip, but definitely listen to your podcast all the time over there, so it's fantastic.
Thank you, and welcome to America. Welcome specifically to California. First time you've ever been here? Oh, well, then you have to try bisexual sex. We're known for it here in California, that and avocados, so yeah.
So I want to be a bit greedy too if I can. After the show, am I able to get a photo, get you guys to sign a print or something like that after the show? Is that
You can absolutely try.
I'll try. And my question is, obviously, Marc, with you on Castle Rock, you're obviously working with JJ. And
He's a lovely man who I've never met.
Well,
I met him, but I don't work with him.
The question was for both of you, who is someone that you've worked with that you've had, I guess, more of a memorable experience? I know, Kev, you've spoken about obviously working with Alan Rickman on Dogma and things like that, how fantastic it was. And
Very
you
true.
Worked with your daughter and you said, it was fantastic. So my question really is, who have you guys worked with over your entire careers that you've kind of gone, that was pretty fucking cool?
You want to start?
No.
George Carlin was mine, hands down. I've been a lifelong George Carlin fan, and then when I got a chance to cast him in something, it was absolutely magical. And he was a guy that lived up to all your hopes and dreams. He was never on. He was never trying to make you laugh, except when he went on stage and stuff. But off stage, he didn't feel the need to. He could be funny, conversationally funny and stuff, but he wouldn't work you like a comedian works you. If you hang out with Tracy Morgan for 10 minutes, you'll be exhausted at the end of those 10 minutes. Like, Tracy works constantly. He's constantly fucking on. So you go home, your face hurts from smiling all day long. George wasn't like that. You could sit there and have a conversation with him and stuff like that. He didn't feel the need to try to make you laugh unless he was doing his fucking thing. But he loved acting. And it was so cute and so adorable to see him be so fucking serious about it. Somebody who is such a goddamn natural genius at the thing that they didn't choose to do but backed into doing. George Carlin, one of the greatest fucking thinkers this nation's ever fucking produced, one of the greatest comedians we'll ever know. But he didn't want that. He wasn't seeking that. That's something he wound up doing. What he really wanted to do was act. So whenever we put him in one of those movies, even those dopey-ass Kevin Smith movies, he was delighted because that was his lifelong dream. He'd always wanted to be Danny Kaye growing up. That was his role model. He wanted to be a funny song and dance man in movies. So when he showed up on our sets, he was serious as a fucking heart attack, man. So most people were like, George Carlin's here. This is going to be hysterical. And then George would get to set and he'd be like, Kevin, I have a question for you as the director and writer of this material. And I'd be like, recognized. And he'd be like, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He's like, okay, I'm reading this scene here, man. And in this scene, you know, I'm talking about the rules of the road. And I'm telling these fuckers about the rules of the road. Am I serious about this, the unwritten book of the road? Or am I just fucking with these assholes? And I was like, I don't know. When I wrote it, I always thought the character was kind of serious about it. He goes, that's what I thought. I thought that too. He's like, I'm glad to know we're on the same page about this. And I was just like, I'll be honest with you, George, like, you really don't have to give it too much thought. You're just the guy that blows truckers. So, and he goes, no, I have to give it all the serious thought. He's going, that's what an actor's job is. An actor's job is to bring truth and honesty to the moment so that it works. And he's going, so I need to know these things. These are important because I have to go out there while a camera's running and do this. So he's like, I got to make sure the moment is honest. And I was like, George, bring as much truth to it as you like. So he, working with him, for me, was a dream come true because he was a man I respected, obviously, beyond most others in this life. And most others that I'd met, even before I met him, I respected him more than most people. But working with him was absolutely delightful because you got to see a side of him that he really reserved. The rest of the world didn't see. You know, George was, I wouldn't call him cynical by any stretch of the imagination, but he was definitely a guy who had a sense of humor and a very specific point of view and whatnot. And it didn't leave much room for hope, joy, laughter, and love and shit like that. And he had those in his life. I'm not saying he didn't. But one day on Dogma, George pulled me aside, while we were sitting, not pulled me aside, come here, but we were sitting on the chairs and shit, waiting between takes. And he goes, Kevin, can I ask you something as the writer and director of this material? That was the way he started most conversations. And I was like, absolutely, recognize. And he goes, a lot of this, I grew up Catholic as you grew up, apparently. That's why I like the script so much and stuff. He's going, in fact, he told me back in the day when I first met him and shit, sat down and talking about the script. I said, what'd you think of the script? And he goes, I really like the script. Kind of feels like I'm a little responsible for it. And he goes, and in some pages, I would like co-writing credit. So he took it because he really related to the material. So we're sitting there on set, and he goes, I get it. I went to Catholic school like you. I was Catholic like you and stuff like that. But he's going, Kevin, you're 27 years old. Do you really still believe this stuff? And, I had to look my master in the face and tell him, yeah, there's a part, I still pray before I go to sleep at night. And he goes, oh. He goes, why didn't I ask you this before I took the job? But it was awesome to kind of sit next to him and watch him work because he was like a kid again. Suddenly, the hardened George Carlin that we saw on stage went away, and the kid who just wanted to be an actor when he grew up came out on set. But he was so fucking serious about it. I've told the story a zillion times. I'll tell it one more time and then cede the floor to Marc because I'm sure he has his answer ready now. We were rehearsing on Jersey Girl, a movie that nobody saw. And so... when we were rehearsing on Jersey Girl, it was me, Ben Affleck, and George Carlin in the morning, sitting down. And when you rehearse, it's like any other fucking job. You get there and you don't go to it right away. Everyone's fucking around doing shit. George was folding out his script, opening it and folding it so that he can read his pages without the script closing and stuff. Affleck was making coffee, and then he came over and joined us. And George, I swear to you, this is exactly how the conversation started. You're gonna laugh, but it's true. He goes, Kevin, I have a question for you as the writer and director of this material. That was his very funny way of starting conversation. So I said, recognize. And he goes, in the script, my character is always giving Greenie a lot of shit. Greenie was the character that Stephen Root played, and he was always giving him shit like, what are you, stupid and shit? So he goes, I'm always giving Greenie shit. He's going, but there's no clear reason why I would ever do that. I'm always just stepping on his dick for no good reason. He's going, so what I did was, I was thinking about it last night, I wrote myself a backstory. He's like, I wrote 6 pages about how Greenie gets on my fucking nerves and fucking what he did and that shit that pissed me off and still pisses me off and why I'm always giving him shit. And he's like, I just want you to know I wrote it and I memorized it. I put it into my head. It exists there. I've since thrown out the pages. I'm never going to refer to them while we shoot the scene, but I want you to know that when I'm yelling at Greenie, that's what I'm going to be drawing for to make the moment more real. And I turned to Affleck and I was like, why can't you be this fucking good? What's your answer, my friend?
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. So there was a time I wanted to write comic books.
Yes.
And I managed to convince a small publisher out of San Francisco, a guy named Larry Young, who ran AIT
Planet Lar, yeah.
To
Astronauts in Trouble.
Absolutely. I kind of shanghaied him into like, dude, I've got this idea for a book and it'll be great. And he said, let's do it. You just need to write it and you won't get paid and that's fine. But I wanted a comic book, so I was willing to do the work. And we were in some kind of conversation about something or other. And he was like, you know who'd really like you? Jim Lee. Jim Lee, I think, you guys both love action movies. You're both kind of living in, he went to school in Jersey. You're living in Jersey. I hadn't met you at the time, so that Jersey didn't come into play. But he's like,
I'm not so narcissistic where I'm like, where am I in the story, Marc?
And so he's like, I think you'd really like Jim. I'm like, that's great. I think I would too, because he's fucking awesome. But I have no way to get in touch with him. He's like, well, here's his email address. You should email him and tell him you want to do comics and you're doing one for me. That didn't work at all. And so he gives me his email address. And so I gotta work up some moxie. Like I have a couple of shots of whiskey and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna email Jim Lee and say, I wanna pitch you a comic book. So I write the email, nothing. Because why would fucking Jim Lee answer my email?
All right.
That makes all the sense in the world. And so I would do this thing where I emailed him every week for 50 weeks. And these emails would get like fucking weird. Just like, I'll let him out of the box if you answer the email. Signed, Cletus. And like, he would never answer these emails because he's a smart fucking man who's running a comic book company. He was running Wildstorm back at the time.
Right.
And so finally I realized, because I was also a magazine editor at that time, and I would get pitches from freelancers via email, and it was always like the dudes who were assholes were the ones I would never email back. Like, listen, I get that you have a story you want to tell. You're not telling it to me right now because you're an asshole. So I emailed Jim at the 52-week mark, almost a full calendar year of being an asshole. I said, Jim, I'm sorry, I've been an asshole because I get these emails and I don't answer to them because I don't like to do business with assholes. So this will be the last email I ever send you. I have a story that I kind of want to tell. I think you might dig it. If you want to listen, that's great. If not, I'm sorry. And so he emails me back and says, I'm going to be in New York in 3 weeks. Let's have coffee. And so I meet him for coffee and I pitch him this story. And I see him, and he's super fucking civil. Jim Lee is the nicest guy in the world.
He's very polite.
He's super sweet.
Super nice guy.
And so, we're in this coffee shop in Manhattan, and I'm pitching him this idea, and I see him start to sketch. And he's sketching the characters that I'm pitching him in this idea. And by the end of my, 10-minute spiel about what this thing is, he's like, all right, we'll do the book. I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, I'm Jim Lee. It means we're going to do the fucking book. And I said, oh. Cool. And that was a book called The Highwayman, which I pitched him in a coffee shop in Manhattan, that he greenlit, that then came out, that now DC is making into a movie because I pestered this motherfucker for a year and then realized that I was being the asshole. And that book was very much the first thing, the real entryway into comic books because of Jim Lee.
That is fucked up, man. That's an awesome story. Wow.
So yes, in a very, very real way, that dude changed my life.
Yeah.
If I didn't write comic books, I never would have got an agent. If I didn't get an agent, I wouldn't be working in TV, and I blame it all on Jim Lee.
Wow, man. So
Yeah.
whenever you see him, you're just like, I fucking love you.
You're the best. What do you need from me?
That's fucking sweet, man. That's really cool. But wait, go back to they're making a movie of it?
Yeah,
I think we've
mean,
talked about this.
Yeah, we did mention the podcast. Yeah, it's a book that we wrote for DC. My writing partner Adam Freeman and I, and DC owns it. They owned it outright because as lovely a man as Jim Lee was, it's like you ain't got no credits, motherfucker. We are gonna take all the rights to this shit, but we'll pay you to write it. But if we make a movie, we're keeping everything.
And that's what happened.
And that's what happened. And
but you'll see your name on the screen if they make
I will.
it.
It will be based on a comic book created by so-and-so. I will get a little tiny chunk of change. They will fly me to the set to shoot some EPK footage to be like, tell us about how you created the character. And I'm like, it was awesome. And then they'll give me 1 ticket to the premiere, not 2, just 1. And I will saunter my fat ass down the fucking green carpet or whatever and be like, I did all this. And they will say, we don't care.
And after, if you get interviewed on the red carpet, when you walk away, they'll be like, writers never have wives. They always come alone.
Yes. Nobody wants to fuck that guy.
That was a great question. Yielded great answers. Give the man some tickets. Look at that. You come to America and you won something. Take us there, Rorschach. Where are we going next? You pick them.
How's it going?
Hey, how are you? What's your name?
My name is Raphael.
Give it up for Raphael.
Done, Raphael.
Real quick, inspirational anecdote for you to be.
Thank you.
2011, I had a quintuple. I hurt my knee, and 3 months later, found out that I needed a quintuple emergency bypass.
Oh shit!
Damn, son.
Because of your knee?
Because of my knee. Because
Where else is your knee wired to, man?
Is the knee bone connected to the heart bone?
they were doing like, oh, you're going to go in for knee surgery. Any history of heart problems? And I'm like, oh, when I go jogging, I get these funny twinges. And 3 months of testing, they're like, oh, look, you need quintuple bypass surgery.
Holy
so
shit!
That was 2011. I was 39. I'm 46 now.
Congrats.
I yo back and forth, but when you got sick, my wife, my beautiful wife here, is like, stop being an asshole, get on it. And since then, I've lost another 25 pounds. And
Congrats, man.
You've been an inspiration for that.
Thank you.
She's like, look at him. He's so skinny now.
My takeaway from that is don't go jogging. But I'm super happy you're healthy, but fuck that shit.
My question.
Number one, thank you for that. That's very, very fucking kind and sweet of you to say. But it's so weird. Nobody has ever been like, do it like Kevin Smith. That feels fucking weird to hear. So thank you. Yes, do it like Kevin James makes a lot more sense. That's what my wife says to me all the time. Do it like Kevin James. I'm like, all right. Fuck you like I'm the king of Queens, motherfucker.
Well, I thought that would be with Adam Sandler watching.
Yes, that is true. It's funny. Funny and a little shitty. Somewhere Adam Sandler's like, why? We're just friends.
Yeah. Hotel Transylvania made like $100 million. Leave me alone.
He's crying his eyes out on his money, I'm sure. Anyway, back to you.
All right, so I love the Berlanti-verse. And
Yeah,
one
me
of
too.
my favorite this year was Black Lightning.
Yeah, you've dug the new Black Lightning show?
Really hit some real great political ground, brought in some interesting characters, minus the horrible costumes, right? So my concern though is it just doesn't seem to fit with the Arrowverse and those pieces. How would you guys bring Black Lightning's universe into the Arrowverse or Flash or Supergirl, and what characters, other minority characters, do you think they could bring into Black Lightning world?
Excellent question. How would I bring them in? I mean, they're not obviously set in any of the Berlanti universes that we know, right? Like, thus far, they haven't established anything. And they've said so far that they're keeping them separate. That might be to the benefit of Black Lightning because at the end of the day, on the other shows, like The Flash is a show about a boy who solves all of his problems by running really fucking fast. And, you can't outrun racism. So, like, I don't know.
Are you sure, though?
Well, I guess. So
Jesse Owens did all right.
It's true. Good point. Jesse Owens is the Flash.
Run, Jesse, run. Maybe they won't catch you.
Run, Jesse, run. So maybe it's to their benefit that they kind of keep it separate and not be like, hey, fucking this year's crossover, Black Lightning joins the fun, because it allows them to kind of do superhero stories with more sophisticated or kind of socially conscious material in a different way. But obviously it's easy to bring them in the same way they brought Supergirl into like Flash. They just have to be like, oh shit, she's from another Earth. And apparently Black Lightning's from our Earth. So we'll see if they ever want to play in that world.
I think that I wrote a book called Static Shock for DC for all of. Thank you. I wrote it for all of 2 issues before it got canceled, because comics. And the story that I wanted to write, like I wrote 2 issues. The next one that I was going to write was going to be about a blackout in New York, and how Static needed to use his power to keep New York alive for just long enough to fix the blackout. And so the tension of the story was, there's awful shit happening in Manhattan, and I'm the only one who can keep the lights on, and I can't stop the crime that's happening because there's hospitals and schools and support staff, and everybody needs me to be at the center of the city and keeping it alive. And so I think there's a world in which you could use a blackout across the Arrowverse, across the Berlantiverse, to introduce Black Lightning. And like, how are we going to open the fucking dimensional portal? How are we going to do whatever? How are we going to keep the people we need alive without electricity? Black Lightning is a solution to that problem. And also, Static would be an amazing introduction to the Berlantiverse, especially the Black Lightning verse. The what's it like to be the old hero with the magic in his fingers, who has to deal with like the young kid who does it a completely different way, but also has the same sort of power, the same skill set. But yeah, like and growing up in New York in the 70s and remembering what that blackout felt like, remembering.
Were you there during the blackout?
Yeah. I lived in the Bronx during the 76 blackout, and just like, I think there's some sort of metric, like 4 meals is what it takes before humanity devolves into barbarism. Like if you miss 4 meals, people go fucking nuts.
Look, as the Weight Watchers ambassador, I think I should be the responsible one and step up and say, that's not necessarily true. I've missed 4 meals and I'm still civil to people. I haven't eaten anybody yet.
That is from your perspective.
That's true.
But that idea, that feeling of, and again, it was fucking August in Manhattan, and there's no power. And so the heat is driving people crazy. The lack of services is driving people crazy. Like there was looting, and I will also tell you a little story, because the blackout in New York ties into why there is disco. Did you know this?
No, explain.
And why actually hip hop comes to happen. Because turntables were very fucking expensive.
Okay.
Right? And disco was the music that birthed out of the gay rights movement, because it was illegal for men to spend time with other men and women to spend time with other women in New York, in the country, for a long time, until they dropped that law in like 74. And so men were like, listen, if I can dance with a dude, I want that dance to last all fucking weekend long. And so clubs in New York would do this thing where they say, well, what if we put a fader between these 2 turntables and the song can keep going? I can switch between record and the beat never stops, and these dudes are just dancing all night long. But turntables were expensive. Like nobody really could get their hands on fucking turntables until there's a blackout in New York and everybody fucking loots. And then everybody can have a fucking turntable. And so like the guys in the Bronx were like, well, we don't need to play this fucking disco. And the best part of the disco are the drum breaks in the middle of the song. And we have the faders and we have the fucking turntables. And guys want to dance over the break because that's what they like. Breakdancing happens. Literally because you could get the 15-second drum break and extend it for 2 or 3 minutes. And that's breakdancing. The guy's like, well, I just want to dance over the break. Maybe somebody can like sing a song over the fucking break. I can't sing, but I can rap. Rap happens. All because ultimately there's a blackout in New York and suddenly people steal the shit that they need to make the art that we all love.
That's fucking amazing. Give it up for a brief history.
Yes. So I would like
music.
I want a blackout in the Arrowverse so we can have fucking hip hop.
There's your answer, man. Phenomenal response. What a great question. You definitely win tickets. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. Well done, Raphael. Take us there, Rorschach. Where do we go next?
Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ben. Everyone give it up for Ben.
My question is, with the saturation of comic book and graphic novel content in all across TV, movies, all that kind of stuff, what IP that hasn't been tapped into would you want the rights to write or direct or produce that hasn't already happened yet?
I got an unfair, good answer, but an unfair one because I've got an inside track on it. Buckaroo Banzai, which a couple years ago we sold, and then I walked away from it. But something tells me it's maybe coming back. I'll let you know more of that when I can. But they were creating a franchise. Earl McRock, the writer, and W.D. Richter had a whole universe of stories. So much so that at the end of that movie, there's the slug that says Buckaroo Banzai will return and Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League. There's a promised sequel, and they created a world and set it up where like adventures have been going on for a long time. So much so that there were even comic books within the movie based on the Buckaroo Banzai character. So it's a movie that lent itself to like instant universalization or whatever the fuck. Like you can turn it on and suddenly you could keep going with it. Unfortunately, people didn't see the movie when it came out in theaters and stuff, and it went away and then became a cult hit on video. So I think they've tried to do it a few times over the years, including what's his name? Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, Frank Darabont.
Frank Darabont did a version that he pitched, I think, to NBC, like for network and stuff. But they've not been able to find a way to do it again yet. I think that lends itself to, it's a franchise that's just waiting to happen. I think it might happen too. What about you?
I think Johnny Quest.
Ah, yeah.
I think there's time, there's room. Like we're in a place where we could actually do like a live action Johnny Quest, and make it for real. And I don't think I'd do him as a boy. I think you do him a little bit older, because the thing that I would do if it was me, if Warner Brothers says, "Hey, buddy, do you want to have this thing and all the money?" I would make it this story about Johnny coming out of college. He's lived his entire life like in the shadow of his father, doesn't want to be an adventurer at all, and encounters Race's daughter, who comes to him and says, "Help, my father's been kidnapped and I don't know what to do about it. Can you help me?" And Johnny's like, "I don't want to fucking be that guy. I want to be a doctor. I want to help people." It's like, "Well, help my dad." And it turns out that his dad has been kidnapped by Haji, who was like, "Fuck you for dragging me across the world when I was a kid. I had a family. Why am I in your fucking plane, like fighting elephants and weird alligators and aliens and mole man and this bullshit? Like I had a life. You turned me into this thing that I never wanted to be." Right. And so your big bad guy is the Indian dude.
And he knows everything.
He knows everything about Johnny Quest,
family,
everything about everything about that world, every fucking secret password, every dirty fucking adventure they did and never told you about. Haji fucking knows.
He knows where all the bodies are buried.
Yes, and he knows who the bodies are buried in. So yeah. The math checks out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the one I would do. I think there's totally a world for the young Indiana Jones of today about the sins of the past revisiting itself on the present. So yeah.
I like it, man. That was a great question. You win the tickets. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. That was 1, 2, 3 so far?
3 so far.
We can't do them all. 1, 2, 3 so far?
Yes, we got 2 more.
So we got 2 more to go. Find us somebody else, Rorschach.
Hello.
Hello.
Lucy.
Hi,
What's
Lucy.
your name? Lizzie? Everyone give it up for Lizzie.
Lizzie or Lucy? Is it like pull the football away, Lucy, or is it like?
No, like Lizzie Elizabeth, but shorter.
Nice.
As in Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40.
Absolutely.
Keep an eye on this one. What can we do you for, Lizzie?
So, DC villains, in my opinion, tend to be a little bit more well-rounded.
Oh, okay.
Than Marvel villains are. But in the movies, it's
You didn't get a lot of support on that one, man. There wasn't a lot of fuck yeah, she's right. There was a lot of quiet, like, I'm judging her.
I'm familiar with Killer Croc. Go on.
I'll say this, I really do like reading about DC villains.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a really big Harley Quinn fan.
Of course.
And so minor thoughts. So in the movies, it seems like Marvel villains tend to be a little bit more well-rounded. Like, I loved Killmonger, and I'm really excited about the way that they did Thanos.
Yeah.
If you could give a DC villain their own movie, like they are the star.
Okay.
But it's just one. Who would that be? Like what DC villain do you think could hold their own in a whole movie besides like Harley Quinn and Joker? Like obviously they should seriously make that movie. But who else do you think could really hold their own and do a whole movie by themselves that would be well developed?
I think, they're already making 96 different Joker movies, so obviously not the Joker. But in terms of Batman villains, one that has, look, I would look no further than Paul Dini's Heart of Ice, Mr. Freeze from the Batman animated series. They took one of the simplest, dopiest characters in Batman's canon, is a man with a freeze gun, and turned him into one of the most tragic Shakespearean-level villains of all in all of comics. I would do Mr. Freeze. You get a lot of powerful material there, and also, you know, the freeze gun visually is a cool thing to see. I would imagine on screen, like we've seen it and already done a few different times, just not the Arnold version, please. But yeah, I think I'd go Mr. Freeze. You?
Nice to see you.
Yes. Who would you cast in my Mr. Freeze movie? Who would be a good Mr. Freeze? Like, and don't say Alan Rickman. You'll make me cry.
I won't say Alan Rickman. Fuck.
But he would have been perfect.
Bryan Cranston.
Ooh, that is good.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I think I would want a Ra's al Ghul movie. I think because I love like the big global threat bad guy who's so much fucking smarter than your hero, and he's got a point, right? Like I want a villain who's got a point.
He's kind of like Thanos. Like Thanos is like, look, I just want to kill half the universe because survival of the other half, and that was also. It was also kind of Ra's al Ghul's philosophy as well. If mankind has done horrible things to the planet, so we should just raise them like weeds.
Totally, we're the worst, which is abundantly clear. So maybe fix that. And also Lex Luthor. Like I love that Lex is the Superman of his story. Lex is the one who actually listen, I'm the best possible hope for humanity. I've done all the work. I fucking pulled myself up from my bootstraps. I've got $1 billion. I can make everything better for humanity if you would only trust me. And then fucking Superman shows up and fucks all that up. You know, it's like...
He goes from being Metropolis's favorite son to Metropolis's second favorite son, and then unravels and becomes Lex Luthor because of it.
Yeah, so like the tragedy of Lex Luthor, which again is all through his eyes because he's our point of view character, is actually kind of heartbreaking. And like, I did all the things right. I have a vision that you won't let me execute. I can answer all of your prayers. Prayers? It was almost problems or prayers, and I got caught in the middle because
say your prayers.
But yes, one of those two. Like I'm all about those big bads.
So, I like it, man. Good question. Give tickets to that. What?
Who would I cast?
Who would you cast as Ra's al Ghul?
As Ra's al Ghul, Naveen Andrews.
Oh.
From Lost. Saeed
yeah,
from
he's
Lost.
good, yeah. Wow, that's good.
And Lex Luthor, not Jesse Eisenberg. Almost anybody else is fine.
Can I suggest
throw
one?
it in.
Vince Vaughn. But not the comedy Vince Vaughn, the Vince Vaughn who was in Psycho.
The crazy fucking serious.
Yeah, I think he could pull off Lex Luthor because he's got like a lot of charm, but there's something dangerous going on behind those eyes.
Tom Cruise.
You know what? That's a really good pull.
Right?
Yeah, because Lex Luthor is desperate to be loved, and Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise likes being loved as well, so wow.
I just need to write like 19 running scenes into it, just so he can fucking do that thing. Did you ever? Did you ever hear the secret of the Tom Cruise run?
No.
The secret of the Tom Cruise run, which if you're a fan, he does in every movie, and it's amazing because it's the special effect of a Tom Cruise movie. His secret is you don't run with your fist closed because the camera can't catch it. So fucking like robot scissor hands run so that every fucking hand movement the camera catches and like ramrod straight, fucking go for it. Miles and miles and miles.
I forget which Mission Impossible it was. I think it was JJ's Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
the third one, where he does this ridiculous long run where they must have set up a cable cam and shit. And he ran for no bullshit. If you watch that movie, feels like almost half a mile. And you're watching it, you're going, this is pretty good cinema.
Look at him go.
Because you keep looking, going like there's going to be a seam. It's not going to be him sooner or later or something
No.
like that. And the whole time it's literally just Tom Cruise
You know
running.
it's
And
a
you're
mile.
like, why did I pay for this?
Because you know that at the end of that take, they're like, you know what, we didn't get it, Tom. We got to go back to 1. And he fucking walks all the way back the mile and a half he ran. He's like, I'm ready to go, JJ. Just tell me when. Scientology gives me strength. Run!
He's like, I could do it a couple different ways. I could run if you want. I could slide out in my underwear for a half a mile. I got range. That was a great question. You get tickets. Pass on those
Lizzie
tickets,
gets one.
please.
We got one more. Do we have one?
One more, yeah, we do. Unfortunately, we have to start wrapping up. There is a show after this show, and the guy who's in that show is a real fucking asshole. So if we don't finish up, he gets all sorts of tight. Take us there, Rorschach. Take us to our fifth and final question of the evening.
Hey, Kevin.
Oh, where are we?
Hey, where are you?
Back here on the other side.
Holy shit, hey, man.
Hey.
You're almost there. I see Marc.
I see you. Hey.
It's Smitty from Denver.
Hey.
I'll allow it. Continue.
So, my question's more real world because, you know, I've seen you all over the place in the country. First time getting to see Batman on Batman. Are you guys ever going to get out of the California area and take this out? You finally brought Hollywood Babylon to Colorado last year.
We've been out of the. We've been a few places.
We've done a little traveling.
I know we've done Detroit. I know we've done
Indianapolis.
We've been out on the road, but I mean, it's not up to us. It's not like us sitting there going like, we'll wait until they really want it. Like if somebody asks us, generally we tend to go.
Yeah, in Colorado, this motherfucker will show up tomorrow to Colorado.
For that Rocky Mountain High. But yeah, I would imagine the show has grown in leaps and bounds over the course since we've been doing it really at the Scum and Villainy Cantina. Suddenly the show found its exact niche. Like in the beginning, it was just me interviewing people who worked on Batman, and that was lovely and stuff. But at a certain point, you just kind of run out of that road. And then we started doing it together, and that was fun and stuff. And then the section of the show that was the utility belt got bigger and bigger as we talked about news, and the show was less and less about Batman than anything else and stuff. So when we did the home versions or the YouTube versions, that was just us, no audience. That was fun, but it never felt like this felt. The version that we do now, that we do every week at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, which is pretty much what we're doing here tonight, feels like the right way to do the show. The only problem with the show now, though, is the title doesn't really work that well.
There's no Batman.
Yes.
And there's no Fat Man.
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to hold it down.
I know.
But it's getting harder and harder.
I was like, for the sake of the podcast, don't lose weight.
but I wanna.
I've always felt that Warner Brothers was very sweet and very kind about letting us go for as long as we've gone, because at the end of the day, they've never called up to be like, hey, asshole, you don't own Batman. Like, stop saying it and shit. They've
Especially
let us
after
kinda
we
go.
kicked Justice League in the balls as hard as we did.
Honestly, I kept expecting a cease and desist going like, you used to be cute, now you're an asshole. Stop it. But no. But sooner or later they are. So it's a conversation that comes up periodically, and it'll come up more and more frequently, which is like, what would we spent so long building something and calling it something and identifying it as something. But at the end of the day, the show is really you and I sitting around talking about shit. So that title doesn't necessarily, it's not the only title the show could ever have and stuff. Skinny vegan on Negan, that's adorable. But if that was the case every episode, I'd be like, this fucking Negan is ruining the show. You can't eat meat, Rick. It's not a bad Shane, man. Stop eating the ribs, Rick. You dig that cashew cheese, Rick? Nachos ain't doing it, are they, Rick? Nope. They are if you eat it at Veggie Grill. Those nachos are very good. So yes, hopefully we'll be able to take the show out into the world more this year because the show has kind of grown is what I was getting at. This incarnation of the show, the one that we do in front of the audience and it leads to audience questions. Sometimes we have guests and stuff like that. Sometimes the guests arrive a little late. I understand Humberto is here, but arrived a little bit ago. That version of the show has caught on in a nice way. It gets, bless you, we get a lot of press, like, fucking when Marcus and McFeely were on the show.
It's like they weren't on the show. It's like, hey, Marcus and McFeely said this shit about DC. Like they were also on a podcast with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard. Might have had something to do with.
There was a lot of for as many articles as identified where that information come, there were some that were just like, they told Kevin Smith. And it was like, no, they told Kevin Smith and Marc Bernardin. But they conveniently leave them out sometimes. So the show has kind of grown to what it is now. And I think it's an easier... for lack of a better description, sell to the outside world. Like, we do just fine in our world and stuff, but it's tough to convince somebody else. Like, no, seriously, they just sit there and talk to each other about comics, and people show up. It's weird. So now that they can watch a whole episode on YouTube, and those episodes go like sometimes 2.5 fucking hours long and shit. It's easier to kind of send to a club and be like, hey, do you want this? Because now we get answers back like, fuck no. But we'll get out there.
We're Colorado. We have standards.
Yeah. Like, you better be better. So we'll get out there in the world, man, as soon as people pull us out there. Generally, where you find us is where we've gone traditionally is, of course, comic book shows, comic book conventions. Makes a lot of sense. But, at the end of the day, we could totally do comedy clubs as well. And not because we're, like, so super fucking funny, but I used to be really, like, weirded out about doing comedy clubs. I'd always come in with my head hung low and shit because comedy clubs are places I revere. Genius people get up on stage and generate and fucking make you think and feel and laugh, which is so fucking important. And I never felt like one of those cats. I never earned that. I didn't get up and build the slow material and shit like that. So I wound up in comedy clubs because of the movies, because I would go out in Q&A afterwards and try to say some funny shit. And so sooner or later they were like, go play clubs. And every time I'd come in, I'd be like, I feel weird doing this, man, because I didn't earn this and shit. Like, I'm not a real comic. I'm a fucking tourist. And every person that owned the club would always take variations of the same thing. They're like, this is just an empty room, man. And you bring an audience, and that audience likes you, and that's all any comic does as well. So yeah, you come with an audience, and maybe they don't always come to the comedy club. He's like, that's actually good for us. That brings new people into the fucking doors. He's going, but don't make too fucking sense about it. He's going, you are a comic. You fill that fucking room. So we could take the show to comedy clubs as well and just be like, 60% less laughs than you're used to. But 1,000% more comic books. Yeah. And hopefully take it out on the road. That was a great question, but that does not win fucking tickets. But we have 10 sets, so today that does win fucking tickets. Passing back some tickets to Smitty, man. Well done, sir.
So one more?
We should do one more, though.
We'll do one more.
So that provides something that's a little less self-serving.
Rorschach, where you going?
Take us there, Rorschach.
Where you at, baby?
In the back.
Test us.
In the back.
Right, so my favorite part and least favorite.
First off, what's your fucking name?
I was just excited because I thought.
I'm so excited. You went right for my vag. Stop it. Like, fucking kiss me first. Fuck.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name's Adam.
Give it up for Adam, everybody. All right, Adam, what do you want to know?
So I was saying my favorite and least favorite part of your show is when Marc breaks down the movie and makes a better version of it.
I know, it sucks. And it ruins the movie for you forever because you're like, they should have done Marc's.
At the same time, I'm like, why did you do that? Because I hate this movie now.
Right.
Sorry.
We feel bad about your first fucking world problem there, man.
My question was, both of you, what movie have you seen recently that you're going to do that exact thing? Break it down and make it better than what you just saw in the theater?
Well, it tends to work best for movies that haven't happened yet. Lately, that's what's been happening. Like the other day on the show, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, we went deep on the Creed trailer, and like the whole audience and us built a fantastic Creed movie that they're probably not making at all. But boy, we're all amped for it. We're like, that's gonna be amazing, and we're all gonna be really fucking disappointed when we see the movie. So I like doing that, but it's usually best with a movie you haven't seen. Aquaman would be a prime way to do that. Okay, Aquaman, knowing what we know, and I don't really know a lot, although I've spoken to some journalists who are like, look, dude, just go to one of their junkets, they'll tell you everything. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah, they're not fucking hiding anything now. They're like, no, this is what happens in Aquaman, please come.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fairly certain some of it takes place underwater. Besides that, I don't have any real intelligence on Aquaman.
All right, so let's try to build an Aquaman movie you like to see. Using, I'll keep you know what's being used in this movie. Take what you've seen and build a movie out of that.
I mean, I'm gonna pull a little bit of inspiration from the Joker.
Okay.
Which is, if you're good at something, never do it for free. I don't fucking know what they're gonna do in an Aquaman movie. I mean, I hope there's some like punching of shit underwater.
Bullshit, I'll tell you what there better be, or else I want my fucking money back. He needs to be like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I also want this Aquaman to ride a fucking jet ski. Because if you remember the Super Friends, that motherfucker never swam anywhere. It was, we gotta sell this jet ski toy, so let's have the king of the fucking ocean ride a motherfucking jet ski.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want some ski-doo action in this, or I'm done.
They showed, I guess it was Entertainment Weekly or something, revealed a sea dragon that he rides upon, and then they showed it side by side. Like in all the old cartoons, they always showed him riding a giant seahorse, and they were like, how pathetic. Except when I was a kid, I was like, that ain't pathetic, that's fucking metal. Like, could you imagine there was a seahorse that fucking big? Most people are like, seahorses are cute. That fucker would eat you, man. And like, but Aquaman had tamed it. He's like, I'm riding this fucking beast and shit. So they've made a sea dragon, they call it, that looks essentially like that image of him riding on top of a sea dragon. At one point, we're going to get him riding on top of a sea dragon, hopefully not sexually. But it's underwater, so it's all different.
I know. If he says Dracarys, then I will lose my fucking shit.
Could you imagine and shit? Dracarys. And then the water, like the flame don't come out because they're underwater.
But it's boiling water and it melts motherfuckers' faces off.
See, this is a better version of
See
Aquaman.
what we just did? We did the thing you asked for.
I look forward to that movie in a big, bad fucking way, man. Not the least of which for the reasons that like everything looks the way it should look and stuff like that. This is the first entree into the sea for either of these comic book big two franchises, for the Marvel or the DC or anybody. We haven't really spent much time under the sea except like, what, fucking, can you think of anything?
In the DC universe under the sea?
I'm just talking about in movies other than like Little Mermaid and shit. How much time have we ever spent under the sea? Finding Dory. I mean, but cartoons don't count.
Well, I mean, you know,
The Abyss. That's what I was thinking, but that goes way fucking back.
I mean,
87.
you go in the cage, cage goes in the water.
Splash is
Sharks
good.
in the water.
Jaws is more superficial. They had lived up here, except the camera did this.
I mean, here's what I want. If Jason Statham does not kick a shark in the face in the Meg,
yeah,
I'm gonna be fucking furious.
yeah.
Fast and furious. Here's what I want to see in Aquaman.
Yes.
I hope there will be a scene. It will not happen, because whatever. Where Aquaman, like, because every movie needs your hero to be at its lowest point, the all is lost moment, where everything I wanted is gone, everything I hoped for won't happen, my dreams are shattered, and somebody's drinking those shattered dreams like fucking Coco somewhere. I want him to be in a desert. I literally want Aquaman to be like, you are nowhere near the sea, you have none of your fucking powers, you have to now be a man, you have to prove yourself worthy of the throne. And how better to do that than to strand him nowhere near the water, nowhere near his beloved fucking fish, and he's got to fight his way through, I don't know, Bedouins? Sure, to get back to the ocean.
That's not bad, but if that happened in the movie, I'd be like, I paid $20 to see Aquaman. Fuck this sand. You know, that would bug me. I want to see him in the sea. Save that for like the sequel and shit. First movie, it better be all fucking under the sea. They better be singing the whole fucking time, man.
Well, here's what then I want Paul Atreides to show up and be like, I can help you get to the sea, brother.
Oh, right?
Yeah,
Like a giant worm and
Dune
shit?
fucking Aquaman crossover.
Ooh.
Do that shit.
And he's like, I can control your worms. This is what I want to see in an Aquaman movie other than him fucking using that. I want to see him weaponize a shark or a team of, school of sharks, sorry. So, like the fucking bad guy, it's like Orm, the ocean master, they fight. But Orm's got a lot of armor. So I'm hoping to Christ that at one point he's like, woo, 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 and he sends fucking 96 sharks to just tear fucking Orm apart and shit, which looks like it could happen, but the armor saves his ass and shit. Or even better, they just fucking woo, 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 and they do shred a motherfucker. Like 25 sharks just shred somebody, and people are like, truly, you are the king of the seas.
I would like them to explain why Mira has heels on an underwater costume. Like, why you need heels for? You're swimming fucking everywhere. They don't make your ass look that much better.
She's wearing heels in case she has to run from a T-Rex in the movie. Come on, Mark, use your head. I think anything else, that's all we got on Aquaman.
That's all I got.
That's good enough, though. Question, man. That definitely gets tickets. Give him some fucking tickets. Well done. I wish we could keep going, especially because Humberto's here. But unfortunately, we got a show after this that we got to clean up for and get out of here and stuff like that. I promise, Humberto, that you get a prime slot at the Scum and Villainy Cantina.
Come
where
on
we
down.
dedicate the whole show to you, man. Not this week. We're not doing a show this week.
Not for a couple of weeks.
What, really? There's
Yeah.
not one next week?
There's not one next week because I'm going to be the dick and be like, there's a Castle Rock premiere that I need to go to.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
That is what I'm doing.
Well, that's worth canceling the show for.
Like, I'm sorry, everybody. I got to go see a TV show.
That's sweet, though. Where are they doing the premiere?
At the Bad Robot offices.
Oh, I've been there, man. They got the rooftop screen.
They
and
really
shit.
do. It is like, imagine like Willy Wonka also having all the fucking money, who decides he wants an office and fills it with toys and shit. That is the Bad Robot office. Like, it is literally like childhood playground with adult money. Just run wild.
Here's a charming detail about the Bad Robot offices. When you come into the waiting room, just the same as you'd come into anybody's office or a doctor's office and shit. And waiting room usually has a couch, some chairs, and some magazines, some newspapers. At Bad Robot, there's like a coffee table that's lower, right in front of the couches that you're sitting on a chair. And it's full of paper and pencils and crayons and shit like that. And they just write, create. So as you sit there, you're like, and you just wind up working. The other thing they do is they have like postcards that are blank, and they're like, fill this out and send somebody in the service a greeting in the armed forces. Like, it's just creative and beautiful and wonderful. Like Marc said, like there's fucking toys galore. It's like a toy museum, and they change and add things all the time. Like, it's one of those offices where I walk in, I go like, if I was talented, this is what I'd do too. Like, if I had this kind of talent that had this kind of money and that kind of, when you walk into those offices, you realize whenever he walks into somebody else's office, they're like, make it rain, motherfucker. And then he gets those jobs, and he's got an office to show for it.
And like, you drive by, it's on Olympic, I think, and the signage outside is not Bad Robot inside, it's National Typewriter Company.
Yeah.
Is what's on the walls. And it's like, I get it. That's fine. I'll allow it. But you watch your step, JJ.
So that's going to be the premiere?
That's going to be the premiere on Tuesday.
That's going to be fucking awesome to watch with everybody and stuff.
And then you're out of the box on the 31st, so we're back in August.
All right, so it'll be 2 weeks before we come back home. If you've never been to Fat Man on Batman down in Los Angeles, come on and join us at the Scum and Villainy Cantina. It's a fun time down there and stuff. And there's also like chance that we bring guests, like Humberto will be coming with us in a couple weeks, hopefully.
We had Cheo Coker, the Luke Cage showrunner, last week.
Cheo was wonderful.
He's amazing. We had Marcus and McFeely. We've had a bunch of people, and it's been great.
Yeah, hopefully we'll add more and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, we don't like to be dependent on guests. Like, it's nice if they're free and people could come, but we just like it where we get to like talk to each other and stuff like that. It's a dream job where you get to sit around and talk about things that you're excited about. Like, most of my life I have to talk about the things I generate, right? I'm a salesman essentially, and I'm always like, hey, I'm working on this, please buy this, please buy this. This show is literally just getting to kick back and be like, this is all the shit I love. This is the shit that's gonna make me happy. This is the shit that when I wake up at 3 a.m, I'm like, what is America? I remember this and I'm like, fuck everything else, and I go back to sleep and shit like that. This is the shit that, like, when I was laying on a fucking table and they were telling me, like, you only have a 20% chance to live from this heart attack, I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna live to see Avengers 4, motherfucker. Like, so, I can't speak for Marc, but I certainly love doing the show, and I'm pretty sure Marc agrees and stuff. And that has everything to do with the audience. Half of the show we were talking about last time we walked off the stage after we walked out of the bar at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, I was like, this is so fucking crazy. Like, we only really have to come up with like half a show, and then the audience generates the other half with the questions and stuff. So,
because we are lazy.
yeah, truly. And it's not even lazy. It's just like, it would be like, that would start seeming like a job if like you had to do everything. But it's nice knowing like we could come with stuff to talk about, but the audience will always give us the rest of the show to talk about. So thank you for that. It makes our lives easier, and it makes it fun for me because we don't know where the fucking thing's gonna go. Like, at the end of the day, somebody can get up and ask a question and be like, why are you alive, fucker? And shoot us both. And then you guys would be like, that was the greatest episode of Fat Man on Batman I've ever seen. Do it again.
And the headlines will be, Kevin Smith dies, unnamed black fellow also dies.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you had a good time this evening, give it up for the guy without whom there is no Fat Man on Batman, the man sitting next to me, Mr. Marc Bernardin. And that is Fat Man on Batman for this week. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next time, same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com or
youtube.com/
Happy
Hell
San
yeah.
Diego Comic-Con, everybody. Enjoy.